Hey guys, in this video we're going to be taking a look at the new Flysky i6X radio. This is an updated version of the i6 radio that would only do 6 channels. This one does 10 channels and has a few additional features, although I'm not exactly sure what those are, to be honest, because I don't have the predecessor of this radio. I've never used it, in fact, so I really couldn't tell you what the differences are. All I can do is I can tell you what is available on this particular radio that I have in front of me. Now, as far as I know, this pretty much looks the same as the predecessor. Has some different stickers here, different colors, gray instead of blue. It's got switches here in the top here. There's, I think all these are 2-position switches, except for switch C. This is a 3-position switch over here, and you get 2 variable dials on the top, and there's nothing on the back. There's just the trainer port, and this takes 4 AA batteries, just like the original i6, and it's got the same trims on the sides here like the original i6. I've heard the gimbals might be different. I'm not 100% sure on that. They feel okay. They feel pretty much the same as the ones that come with the i6X. I'm sorry, i6S, and you can see that they look pretty much the same. They feel pretty much the same. The throttle on the i6X seems like it's tensioned a little bit more than on the i6S, and it's probably something you could open up and adjust on the inside. And I heard you can even turn this into a ratcheting throttle if you wanted to. The gimbals on this don't feel as nice as the ones on the Evolution. For whatever reason, these just feel smoother, and I couldn't tell you exactly why that is. To me, they feel a lot smoother. So there's a whole lot that comes in the box with the radio, and let me just show you what comes with it. You get a USB to trainer port adapter. And I think that's for perhaps hooking up to your computer for simulators. My version did come with the receiver here. This is the FSX6B receiver, and I'll talk about this in a little bit here. You get a pretty sparse manual that comes in English and Chinese, but there's no manual for the receiver, so there's actually a link that I'll put in the description that'll take you to the PDF for the manual for the receiver, in case you guys are wondering how to use that. And you get a set of cables that come with the receiver, and I'll talk about these when I talk about the receiver. And that's pretty much it. Let me just go through the system here. To get into the main system, you just hold the OK button and you get to the menu, and you navigate with the up and down buttons here on the left. So there's system setup, and then there's function setup. So we'll go to system setup first, hit OK, and you got model select, model name, type, receiver setup, LCD brightness, and then there's firmware update and firmware version, factory reset, and aux switches. I think this is the version 1.0 of the firmware. I don't think there's a newer one out. This is November 24th, 2016. I don't believe there is an update out yet, but there probably will be pretty soon, I imagine. Let's see here what else we got. I think the most important thing is that you have 20 models on this particular radio. So if you go to a model select here, it'll go from 1 to 20 that you can actually program into here for 20 individual unique models. And then over here under receiver setup, you can change your RF standard from the 2nd gen, which is the default on these, the 2A protocol, and you can actually go back to the original 1st gen if you want to. There's things like receiver battery, and I'll talk about that when I talk about the receiver. You can get the voltage information on there, and it actually shows up on the main screen. You can set up your fail safes. If you have a different receiver, like the the i6B that can take some other sensors like current, for example. You can add those in here in your sensor list. You want to change your output mode to what you're using for your receiver, and in my case I'm going to be using the serial protocol and iBus, so I have that selected. And let's see here. To bind, it's going to be just like the older i6 radio. You power off the radio and you hold and press and hold the bind key here, and then power it on, and it goes into this RX binding mode. Now, I've actually already bound the radio to this receiver on this model. It's a little hard to do on camera. Essentially, you hold on the bind button here while you're applying power, and I'll go over that in a second, and while you're in the bind mode, and then it will bind. And you'll get some additional telemetry here at the bottom on voltages for the receiver, and also the voltage sensor that is on the receiver. I'll go over that in a second. So on the other menu here with the function setup, these are the functions available to you. You can reverse your channels, set your endpoints, set your auxiliary channels. So you can go in here. That's, for example, you can set your channel 5 to one of the switches, and then channel 6 is right now is none. I typically, since I fly multi-rotors, I don't usually use a lot of these, and I just set my one switch to arming and disarming. If you fly an airplane, you're going to probably need more channels to set those to different functions by just going into the menu here and setting your auxiliary channels to whichever switch you want. You can customize that. Got sub trims, dual rate and expo, got throttle curves, mixes, elevon, VTAL, and throttle hold. So this is basically going to be full function for all you airplane guys. You can have all the different things that you need for those airplanes. Okay, so let's talk about that receiver. So this was it's about $10 on Banggood right now, and it doesn't come in a case. There's no pins on it. It has a dual diversity antenna setup, and the antennas are removable with the micro FL connector, and they're kind of short, so I think these are sort of tailored towards the multi-rotor guys, and I'll show you how you could install this into a multi-rotor. It's actually pretty easy. There's these micro JST connectors here on the side for your different protocols. You got your PPM on here, you got iBus right there, and then this is for all your PWM. And then the connector here on the bottom is for your voltage monitoring. Also, by the way, they do offer solder pads for your various PWM channels if you want to solder directly instead of using the connector there, as well as some of these other ones like the iBus, and let's see, what else is there? PPM over there. Although I would prefer to use the connectors in my case. The connectors that you get are here. You get this one big cable here for the PWM connector, and this connects to all your PWM channels, as well as for power. And then you get three identical 3-pin connectors here for those other 3 connectors over here on the side, and they're all exactly the same. It doesn't matter which one you use. They do have a nice silicone coating insulation, so it's going to be pretty flexible. And so in my case, I'm going to be using the iBus connector here like this. I'm going to plug that in like so, and then on the other side, I'm going to use voltage monitoring, and I think it goes in this way. And as you can see, for the voltage monitoring, there's ground, battery voltage, and ground again. So the yellow and the black are both ground when you connect it up to your PDB. So actually, I'm going to connect all this up here, and I'll show you what shows up on the screen here. Okay, so I got my receiver here powered up just through this 5-volt battery connector, and it's going into the iBus connector here. And if you're connecting this up to your flight controller, you would just basically connect this to like one of your UARTs, connect up to 5 volts for the black and the red, and then use the yellow wire there for your iBus connection, or actually for your serial connection that will go to the receive port on your UART. And then on the radio, you can see we now have telemetry coming back from the receiver. That's the battery voltage of the receiver there, and you get numbers for your, this is the top line is the transmitter, and you get the second line here is for the receiver on the voltage. And then this V2, this second external voltage, is 0 because I don't have a battery connected to the other connector here, which is this one. And I'm going to connect that up, and I'll show you that that'll pop up here in a second. So I'm just going to connect up my, this is a little small 3S battery. Make sure our polarity is correct. Okay, and you can see there we have another voltage reading there at 11.5 volts. That is the battery voltage on this little battery here. And if you go into your model, you can set up some alarms under receiver setup, RX battery. So that's the internal sensor for the, I think that's the receiver, and then the, if you want to set your external sensor here, you go here low. I would say if this is a 3-cell battery, I could. So if you want to change the sensors that show up here, the different values, for example, if you only care about LiPo voltage and say your RSSI to the receiver, then you can actually adjust these here in your settings. You go to System Setup, and you go to Receiver Setup, and you go to Choose Sensors. And so I'm going to make the first one my RSSI. And hit OK. Go in here, and the second one, whoops. The second one, I'm going to change that to signal strength. And the last one, I'll change to the LiPo voltage. And when you exit out here, then we get these values here. So this is the RSSI to the receiver, the signal strength from 0 to 10, and our LiPo voltage. Okay, so let's see what kind of alarms we get here when we unplug the LiPo. And the battery goes to 0, but we get no alarms. And if we power off the receiver, those values should go to 0. Everything disappears, but there's no beeps or anything from the radio like you would get with the i6S. I'll have to look at the manual, see if there's some way to set that up. I'm not exactly sure if they exist or not. It's possible they do, I just don't know where it is. If someone does know, let me know in the comments below, and I'll be sure to add that in the next video. Now, for the receiver, as I mentioned earlier, this is something that could be added to a mini quad pretty easily. It's got these holes here that are the same width as a flight controller, but they're not the same size. So here's the flight controller here. So you can see they're the same width apart, but they won't be able to fit on the little standoffs for the flight controller. So I think that you could probably use these holes as for holes for zip ties to zip them to the frame. And then what I would suggest is actually wrapping this in some heat shrink, just because of all the chips are exposed, and then having the antennas and the connectors sticking out. Now, if you're doing a serial connection like me, or PPM, you're just going to need these two cables here, and this is pretty small. It's actually smaller than the one, the i6C. It's a little bit less bulky than this one. This one has a cover on it, but it's a little bit skinnier. You can see right there, just a touch. And here it is, side by side. So I think if you wrap this in some heat shrink, it'll be pretty small. Anyway, guys, just a quick look at the Flysky i6X radio. I'm going to have some more videos on this radio as I explore it some more, and I'm going to do some range testing on this receiver as well as connectivity to some of the other receivers like the i6C and the also the micro receiver, the A8S. These Flysky receivers have some pretty hard names. Anyway, so guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know if you guys have any questions in the comment section below, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.